it's Julia of the Bohemian Belle, and today I'm going to show you how to make a Regency gown out of a sari. Now I have a sari here, like the ones I sell in my shop. This is a new sari. You can also buy vintage saris, but new saris have more fabric because they have something called the blouse piece, which is an extra piece at the end. In any case, I have a lot of customers who buy these and then they don't know what to do with them. They always ask me, like, how do I cut them up? How do I place the embroidery or the print? And it's just a little tutorial for you how to go about it, or how I go about it. Now, first of all, a sari has 4 sections. The front piece, the pallu, is the heavily embroidered piece. Now, a lot of people like to use these for the front of the skirt to show off the embroidery. I personally don't do that much because I try to make my dresses as historically accurate looking as possible. And while you do see a lot of dresses that have heavy embroidery at the front, the placement of the embroidery has to be just right. And a lot of these don't have like the perfect kind of Regency look to the placement. However, if you just really want a pretty dress and you're not too concerned for historical accuracy, if you want like a Bridgerton gown or something like that, this is perfect. This will be perfect for the front of your dress. If not, just cut it off. I do that, and then I use it to make turbans with, or you can do all sorts of pretty things with this. Also, I've used it on the train as well to have like the main focus of the embroidery on the train. Anyway, moving on. After the pallu, you get like this longer section that has a border on each side. Now, I usually don't use this for the skirt either. I use it usually for cutting the bodice. It's really great if you want to, for instance, cut sleeves, and if you have long sleeves, you can just cut it in a way that like you have the border here on your wrist or something. So, moving on again, eventually you get the section that doesn't have a border on one side, but on the other. And this is what I usually use when I make a skirt out of this, when I make a dress, because you get like a little bit of extra length from not having embroidery here, so you can have just the embroidery down there. So pretty much, if you're under 1.70 m, that's like 5'8". If you're under that, you can get away with just, look, placing this right here. It's the perfect length, at least for me. I'm 5'6", that's 1.67 m, and this is perfect for your skirt. It's about 100 inches long, so the width is great for it too. And now we come to the last piece, which is called the blouse piece. You can see these 2 pieces of pre-embroidered fabric. They're perfect for, oh look, it's backwards. They're perfect for sleeves, for little puff sleeves or even straight sleeves that, but you have to be short. You can't really use it for like a 3/4 sleeve or a long sleeve. Anyway, moving on. So I've got a pre-cut sari for you, cut into the 4 sections. Just go over that again. First of all, we have the pallu, which is the heavier embroidered one. With this one, I actually already took one part of the border off to use it as a ruffle. You can do that. And also, if you're over 1.70 m or so, what I do to give more length to the skirt is I take the borders off of each of these sides of the pallu, and also off the next piece that has the double border. Like, I take the top or the bottom, it doesn't matter, border off, and then I add it to the next piece, which is the skirt piece, I call it, where you have only the embroidery at the bottom. Like, if you're a taller person, then you just keep adding rows and rows. I've made a dress for a girl who was like almost 6 feet tall, and I literally used the entire other border, like off of this extra piece, of this middle piece, and the pallu piece to add on to the bottom to give the skirt enough length. So that is something you can do. Also, if you're making a dress with a train, you're going to have to basically remove the entire border of all of the skirt pieces, cut the skirt with the train without the border on it, and then reattach the border at the bottom, because otherwise you can't get it around the curve of the hem. All right, so we have the 3 pieces here, and then again we have the blouse piece, perfect for cute little puff sleeves. So this is the layout of the sari. Once you have it cut up, then we go on to our cutting table and we place our pattern pieces. All right, so here I've got the sleeve. It's not cut out yet, it's just pinned, and I wanted to show you how I did this. So this is the middle piece of fabric, and I folded it so that the edge, the embroidery on the edge is double, and then I pinned this 3/4 sleeve to the edge. So I won't even have to really hem the sleeve or anything like that. It's just the embroidery. So now we have the bodice pieces pinned to the fabric. This is still that piece of fabric, that middle piece with both borders that are embroidered. So it's going to be a crossover 1790s dress. Here's the middle piece, and then I have the center back piece that's put on the fold. So I need to cut those out. One thing also, I did not actually launder this. I didn't wash it because the new saris actually come from India pre-starched, which is really nice. It makes them very stiff and easier to work with, and also they're pre-shrunk. So you don't really have to wash them. When you do wash them, the fabric gets super soft and very flowy, which is beautiful to wear, but very difficult to sew with. So when you have one of these new saris that's already been washed and starched, which all of the ones that I sell in my shop are, do not wash it before you make the bodice. It will be so much easier to make the bodice without washing it. You can wash it afterwards. Here we have the finished bodice without the sleeves. I'm going to show you how I do this. So I use French seams on this very sheer, flimsy fabric. Right here. For one thing, obviously to prevent fraying, you could also use a zigzag stitch on your machine or a serger, but a French seam is always better on a sheer fabric because there's no chance of the unsightly zigzag showing through on the other side. You just kind of get a clean line. Also, it gives added stability to the fabric, which is good with this kind of flimsy moving fabric. One thing I do in addition to a regular French seam is I kind of tack the French seam down to give it even more stability. So this is what it looks like from the outside. And you can see even now, like this side, it moves less than this side that I haven't tacked down yet. This side isn't tacked down and this side is tacked down. You can kind of see the little pin pricks. So it kind of gives this whole very light fabric more stability. It doesn't move as much, and so you don't get like these stress wrinkles when you wear it. So here we have the finished bodice. It's ready to have this skirt attached. I've got this here pinned. The rest is loose, and it's going to gather. So let me turn this around. See, the sleeves have their embroidery detail at the hem, the sleeve hem, the back. Anyway, what I did to make the skirt is I measured across the length here, and that's the front of the skirt panel. That's the width of the front of the skirt panel. So I cut that off my fabric and basically just made a tube. I reattached it to the rest of the fabric, and then that gets attached to here, and the rest of the fabric, which is about 2 yards because I think there's about almost 3 yards in the skirt. The rest gets gathered in the back. Here's the finished gown with the skirt attached with the embroidered part at the bottom at the hem. It has an internal drawstring that is tied at the center front. I added a ruffle, just gonna go around. So it's really quite simple to make one of these. Let me go in a bit further. See some details, like here on the sleeve. See. And the ruffle, I was going to first use the embroidered border part, but then I decided on just using plain white because I wanted it to fall nicely, softly, and the embroidery does make it a bit stiffer. Turn it around. Has that classic 1790s back. It's an early style, probably late 1790s, I'd say. There we go. So that's basically it. I hope this video helped you with figuring out what to do with your sari. Thanks for watching.